Welcome to Richard and Greg, a channel dedicated to discussion, debate and argument on a whole array of topics. Today, Greg and I briefly cover the global position on coronavirus infections and deaths, and then go on into some depth, covering the symptoms that one can easily recognize, and also a number of preventative actions one can take. So let's take a listen to that discussion. It's Monday, the 9th of March 2020, almost midday GMT. The coronavirus is not only occupying but dominating the headlines, affecting markets globally. Not a day goes past where the figures haven't risen. And Greg and I, Richard, are trying to keep abreast, as often as we can, of developments as and when they occur, and then report them to you, usually every other day. Now, there have, since our last publication, which was on Saturday, there have been quite a few further developments. However, today's video podcast is actually going to focus on symptoms and things that you can do to help you prevent catching the virus in the first place. So let's go straight over to Greg and get answers or solutions to these problems. Good afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon, and actually it's not afternoon yet. I've got another 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
When one's in my age group with the coronavirus around, one counts one's minutes. The figures are interesting. We're now looking at 111,355 recorded cases of coronavirus COVID-19. That was the figure at 11:49 GMT. And we have a death rate of 3,882. That's worldwide. A fairly dramatic figure. China had a fairly dramatic fall in new cases, but they're playing catch up now because the last figure I looked at, new cases, was 0, but it's now 44 new cases. Italy is becoming something of a basket case in this game. Although it has less cases of coronavirus than South Korea having 7,478 cases, has had 53 deaths, whereas Italy, with 7,375, has so far had 366 deaths, which is more than a little scary. This morning, Italy put around about a quarter of its population, mainly the states adjoining Lombardy, which is the capital is Milan, in lockdown. 16 million people are now confined to their immediate area and will remain so until the 3rd of April. This shows a fairly dramatic move. We're not talking of a country like China where they ride roughshod over their people whenever necessary, nor the new version of Hong Kong where it's battles in the street. We're talking of a European democracy, albeit one that probably won't be in the European Union for much longer in view of its economy. America, on the other hand, is now up to actually admitting to 554 cases with 22 deaths. But I think this is not a very plausible figure, to be honest, because it so extremely does not suit the administration in a re-election year to have bad news, that I believe that much of it is being suppressed, and we know the figures are lower than they really are, based on the fact that they just haven't got the testing equipment. For as long as you don't test people, they won't have it, will they? The UK is now on 280 cases, with a 3rd death this morning. So that gives you a quick roundup. Now I'm going to skip any further information in that area, and I'm going to go straight over to data concerning the coronavirus, which includes COVID-19. This will be a bit tedious in that I'm going to read it out. Item 1, the virus does not present as a runny nose or sputum. If that's what's happening to you, you probably have a common cold, however virulent it may be. Item 2, coronavirus presents as pneumonia with a dry cough, but no runny nose. Item 3, like many viruses, coronavirus will be killed by temperatures of 26 to 27 degrees and or sunlight. Item 4, droplets, even in misted form, from a sneeze or a cough can stay airborne for around 10 feet. So it is not a good idea to be in, shall we say, the firing line of somebody who's coughing. 5, droplets on metal surfaces can survive for around 12 hours. 6, droplets can survive for 6 to 12 hours on fabric, but it's destroyed by washing with standard domestic washing fluids or powders. 7, drinking warm drinks can aid control of viruses. Cold and or iced drinks do no damage to the viruses. So viruses have top temperatures at which they function. 8, the virus lives on hands for 5 to 10 minutes. So do not rub your eyes, your face, your mouth, or your nose. Avoid, where possible, coughing or sneezing into your hand. If your hand is anywhere likely to touch your face, share your sneeze or cough with your elbow. And effectively, children have a problem in that they are more prone, small children, to picking their noses. There, they are effectively injecting any virus that may be on their hand onto a receptive surface from which it will transfer into the bloodstream very rapidly, just as with the mouth and eyes. 9, regular gargling with warm water and salt will help resist the virus. It's no cure, but it will help resist it. 10, always, as an adult, drink 5 to 8 pints, that's 2.5 to 4 liters of fluid a day. And in view of the virus, quite a good idea to make sure they are warm fluids, not endless pints of gin or whatever your tipple may be. Do note, many people, particularly those under 70, with no underlying medical condition, may just feel under the weather for a week or two prior to recovery. They may still be capable of infecting others. Please take care for your sake and that of other people. Now, we will put this in written form along with the podcast, and please circulate it to any and all your friends and family, together with the URL for Richard and Greg, which will be useful for them and for them to pass on to people. The more people who've read this, the better. Now let's look quickly at the rather shorter list of symptoms for coronavirus and COVID-19. Firstly, the virus invades the throat, causing a dry cough and a sore throat for between 3 to 5 days. Secondly, the sore throat can develop into producing a nasal fluid that enters the trachea and onward to the lungs. This is the start of a pneumonia type infection, which can last for 5 or 6 days before the temperature starts rising in a serious manner. 3, the pneumonia then causes a rapidly escalating fever with consequential difficulty breathing. If you reach this stage, don't hesitate seek medical attention as a matter of urgency. Seek attention by phone, not by going in to infect everybody in the doctor's surgery, please. By phone, via the emergency services. You are in a danger zone at this stage, and the older you are, the more danger you can be experiencing. 4, at this stage, the nasal congestion is one you are unlikely to have ever experienced. You will feel as if you're drowning, and without hands-on medical care, you are in very grave danger. I don't wish to unduly alarm people, because realistically, the vast majority of people recover from this disease. However, they are talking of a realistic 3.5% morbidity as a result of getting it, and it could be higher, but bear in mind the vast majority of young people who don't have an underlying condition will recover. However, those with an underlying condition or over the age of 70 would seem to be experiencing at the moment a morbidity rate of over 10%. Now, if we're talking of viruses, it's all very well. Lots of people are running around saying X thousand people die every year from the annual flu outbreak. Yes, that's perfectly true. It's mainly people who are end of life anyway who die from the annual flu. It is a fairly large number, and 200 or 300 a day is not unexpected. The difference between this and that flu is that this could well put up to 20% of the population forced out of work for a period during the period in which the virus runs. And even if it is only 1% expectation of dying for your age group, that is still 10 times more dangerous than the annual flu mortality rate, where approximately 0.1% of those who get the disease die from it. So with those cheery facts, please pass them on to people. Please pass on our URL so that people will come to Richard and Greg and they will be kept up to date. Good luck.
Greg, thank you very much. I have one very brief question for you concerning the transfer of the virus. You mentioned the fact that if you sneeze into your hand, for example, the virus remains on your hand for up to around, if I remember correctly, 2 hours. However, on material, it stays on that material for up to, if I remember, 12 hours. So if you sneeze into your elbow, are you not potentially actually being more actively contaminatable than if you just sneeze into your hand?
In theory, yes. Having sneezed into your hand, with it living on your hand for 5 to 10 minutes, there is a greater possibility of you touching somebody else than touching somebody vulnerable with your elbow. Hence, I say sneeze into your elbow. Also, if you sneeze into your elbow, it is not spreading it. It is going into a very concentrated area of clothing where it is absorbed and held there. When you've sneezed all over your hand, what are you going to do with your hand? All too often, you'll see people not thinking and wiping their hand on an item of clothing, or picking up their children, or within a minute or two shaking hands with somebody. So you are perfectly right with your statement. However, people tend to change their clothes, and it's easy to take your jacket off and fold it inside out if you happen to be on a tube train or subway or in a crowded place, thereby controlling it, whereas a hand may inadvertently be on a door handle, be on a support on the escalator or on the stair banister, or touching somebody else.
Well, Greg, that's a terrific answer. Thank you very much. So there are two things I will not be doing now, which I have done previously. I will not be shaking other people's hands. And I also won't be grabbing them by the arm either, just in case they've heard your advice. The answer is do not touch anyone.
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases.
Indeed. Greg, thank you so much. Much obliged to you.
My pleasure. Good luck, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed that discussion, and if so, kindly subscribe to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of our videos as and when they are published. And also in the description box below, we place links to certain books, articles, and programs which you may find of benefit, and for which we will receive a small commission should you purchase through our link. And this will help support our channel and to enable us to develop it further.